My fellow Amazonians, this is Dr. Cho Ayaba. Today is Tuesday, the 30th of July 2024, and this is my daily briefing. I send patriotic greetings to all of our fellow compatriots across the globe, especially those in ground zero, our leaders on the ground, the commanders, the generals, the field marshals. Greetings also to our fellow citizens who are in jail because of our freedom. Thank you all for the sacrifices you are making, and thanks especially to your families who have been going through psychological torture because of your incarceration. I'm even so proud because most of you have not blinked, and I can testify to your commitment to our freedom and the freedom of our people. So thank you very much. A couple of issues which I would like to address today, and I know I've clarified a lot of them before during my interview with the PS on, I think that was on Friday or Sunday, and my outing, I think a day before. I covered these grounds so that you are not intoxicated, you are not manipulated. There is a lot we are doing to push forward our freedom. Let me begin from there. And you are aware of our principal instrument in our liberation struggle, which is self-defense. As I have said, we've got more than 3,000 armed men on the ground. Cameroon has about 5,000 and above. They need 400,000 to occupy Amazonia. They don't have in their entire country more than 30,000 men. That is mission impossible. And that is why you must be confident about victory. Because so far, we have invested less than 1% in the principal instrument in our freedom, that's self-defense. And if we take that up just by a notch, we will not only defeat La Republique, we will be able to take Littoral and the West and hold both until we are satisfied that we've exacted enough compensation, not only for their arrogance and impunity, but for having delayed our own progress. We must continue to invest in these men. Now, let me say this. We get up every day, somehow we are frustrated. Somehow we think that the War of Liberation is a movie. It's not. So when you sit in front of your TV and you are watching Chuck Norris, there is a plot. You follow the plot. There is the highs, the hypes, and you go right to the end and you see the outcome. That's not how a War of Liberation works. Some wars of liberation, there is no fighting for 2 years. So sometimes La Republique has used this law in hostility as a way of claiming it has won with its propaganda of normalcy. It has won all battles in the past using time and manipulation. Not this time. We watch key factors, key indicators to determine the viability and the strength of our struggle. We monitor them every day. And as I have said to you continuously, when they are weak, I will report it to you. When they are strong, I will always let you know. The key indicators are strong. Whether it's the ghost towns, which is collective resistance against occupation, for 7 years it is strong. There might be lows left and right, but that is not something that affects the overall commitment to peaceful resistance on Mondays. Self-defense. From the beginning, we designed a collective 13-state action plan because we did not have, like most liberation wars, a neighboring state from where we could make incursions and occupy territories and move systematically. Our strategy was to weaken them, to demoralize them, to attack their economic extortion schemes. We have been highly successful. There have been limitations which have set us back, but the key strength that we see in the key states that are relevant for our freedom is something we applaud, and they are still there. Even in those states that are not quite relevant for our liberation, we still see action. That is a testament to the resilience of the Ambazonian resistance. And don't let the butchers and the losers and the barbarians tell you they can conjure victory. It will never happen. And I can assert with certainty, they will get up one day and Ambazonia will be recognized as not only as a people with the right to external self-determination, but as an independent state. There is no alternative. There is no formula for coexistence. There is no precedence from where they can tap. So self-defense is strong, but we need to make it stronger. We need to take it to a stage where we know, even if you take out 2 or 3 units from here, it will be compensated by the strength of the core unit. That's why your liberation tax is very important. Now, you can't run a war simply by benevolence. Now, you simply, like when people want to know, it doesn't work that way. You can't run a state by benevolence. You can't have a dad at home and he pays your school fees simply because you pass an exam or because he's happy. No, it's a commitment till you succeed. That is why taxation is important. So you have to commit. Once we all say we are in for liberation, you can't get up in the morning and say, today, no, I'm going to stop. No, because others can simply stop. Others can simply just wish themselves out of jail. Others simply can resurrect 3 days after in the grave. So when we all commit to an endeavor, despite our limitations and our weaknesses, we must stick to our guns. And this is even more important when you are winning. I know the enemy has been attacking every key formula that they are scared will bring us victory. They have tried for the past 5 years to undermine the Monday Ghost Towns because it gives them shame. It tells the world who is in charge. It restores authority to the Ambazonian people. They can't take this shame. They don't go to bed Sunday night because they know they will get up, locked up in their home by the Ambazonian people. That's how powerful you are. They have tried everything to undermine it, locking up a shop, trying to bribe others to call it off, trying to do what kinds of scheme, buying bikes and giving it to soldiers of their state, buying taxis and introducing them into our cities, doing everything. It has not worked. They have attacked self-defense, killer generals. They've tried to decapitate the resistance by killing top generals. What they did not realize is that we structured self-defense in a way that it is self-replicating. You are not going to destroy the Ambazonian resistance. They believe that they could undermine cohesion in the diaspora, undermine motivation, bribe others. They are going to institute confusion so we could not mobilize resources to fight them. We told them we could institute a taxation policy that those from the diaspora and those on the ground will pay. They are now in panic. Just the last 3 weeks, I think we've raised more than 6 million in taxation. 2 days ago, a family paid for an entire family, 5 of them, $500. That is how committed Ambazonians are, because they want their freedom. They don't want to believe that they will get up one day and they are called again Cameroonians. They don't want to believe, even in their dreams. They may not speak, they may not scream, but they are sitting and praying to God of Ambazonia that please let our children succeed, because they cannot fathom that they will live under Cameroon. They will live under French rule, that they will live under the deals, that these traitors will come back and take over, that these colonial apologies in the name of chiefs and fonds will come back and be patrolling within their cities. Ambazonians cannot believe this. And that's why sometimes they pray for us to work together. That's why sometimes they beg for us to work together. And that's why they are committed. They have been going around and arresting people. I have made it absolutely clear. There is only one authority within the 44,000 square miles of Ambazonian territory. It is exercised on the ground by Ambazonian soldiers. It is the only authority that you can pay taxes to. Don't pay any taxes to La Republique. They take it straight to pay credits, interest rates for all the monies that they have borrowed. They take part to buy more guns and bullets to ravage your cities and kill your sons and daughters. You are paying your taxes is a commitment to the outcome we all sought and agreed to have. Paying your taxes is an act of defiance against the enemy. It's an act of commitment to those in jail. It's an act of commitment to the families of those who lost loved ones. Paying your taxes is a resistance in itself. And don't be afraid. It's like our flag. It's like our anthem. These are all symbols of resistance. And so don't let these butchers who've offered nothing other than potholes on our roads, dilapidated and stinking hospitals, 4 walls with no curriculum to make our children assets. They've offered us nothing. And we will destroy them. Between now and 2025, it's a roll call. Cameroon itself will disintegrate. And so we must commit. There are other sovereignty projects we are running community schools. We're having conversations now on permitting secondary schools using our curriculum of education. We are doing a lot in the area of agriculture. We have online studies that is available to Ambazonians. And I ask Ambazonians to visit our webpage, enroll your children in our online programs. We have more than 10,000 or more, close to 60,000 even, online programs that can give you skills that your kid can use immediately to be able to make money. Stop wasting your time trying to combine sodium and chlorine where you don't even know what the outcome is going to be. The kind of Ambazonia we seek to establish is the one that turns you from a liability to yourself, your community, and your family into an asset. And that's why we must fight for it till the bitter end. We must know that the enemy is equally determined. We must know they have a lot to lose in Ambazonia. First, prestige. Then the resources they've been extorting. Ambazonia is the source of stability for Cameroon. Without Ambazonia, these Bulus will be killing one another like in the Neanderthal period. They are ruthless. They are wicked. We are the cushion that is stopping them from disintegrating into animalistic tendencies. But we have to exit. And I ask each and every one of you to remain dedicated and committed to your freedom.
Mr. Biya needs to know that we are ready and we will take it to the very end until our people are free. La République for no self. Mr. Biya for no self. We will take until the very ending until Ambazonia be completely free.
My fellow Ambalanders, today I am doing my daily briefing on live video so that we can have a personalized conversation and exchange. Thank you all, and I send warm greetings to Ambazonians. Today I have come to reassure you of the strength of our resistance and the outcome, which is very certain. I have said repeatedly that this is the last phase of our struggle for independence. Since 1961, we have fought against Cameroon as we did against the Germans, the British. We have resisted Cameroon's attempt not only at occupying but at annexing Ambazonia and transforming it into its province. And many people have asked, as a compatriot did yesterday, if there is a middle ground that we can meet Cameroon. And I've repeatedly said, since 1961, all attempts at finding a middle ground with Cameroon were responded to with a lot of violence and brutality. They've taken us for granted. They believe violence, corruption, and historical revision will maintain the occupation without a response, because it has been a strategy that has been successful since 1961, where Amazonian leaders were simply threatened or murdered, and they either succumbed to what Ahidjo or Biya wanted, or they were put in jail or exiled. And so every Amazonian leader has succumbed to the violence and threat and public propaganda, the monopoly of communication, the monopoly of historical memories. And this generation has been blessed not only with a populace that has been willing to listen, but also willing to understand our history, benefit from social media, and educated themselves. And we have also been blessed by executives and leadership that has been very clear about what we are against, has been very clear about what we are for, and has demonstrated that by doing the things that are necessary for us to win. Lest you forget, the first things the occupier did was to dismantle our institutions. Institutions are critical in bringing a population together and in strengthening civil society. Political institutions were all dismantled, economic institutions, and our ability to establish a force that could resist Cameroon's occupation was also very much undermined. So Cameroon has been very successful in its strategy of escalatory occupation, recruiting from amongst Ambazonians millions who became intermediaries between the occupier and the occupied. Why they posted SDOs and DOs as commanders to oversee that the slaves they had recruited were doing their bidding. The face of the occupation was either the brutal occupation forces or ordinary Amazonians that we could meet on a daily basis. Some of them elected by us, some of them appointed by the system, some of them were Amazonian citizens who live in our neighborhoods and somehow found themselves as elite of the occupation. Today, we have denied all of these people and institutions that replace our democratic institutions the opportunity to continue to be intermediaries between us and the occupier for their own interests. And this has been one of the most successful strategies in undermining the legitimacy of the occupation. So, fellow Ambazonians, I know you get up on a daily basis and you are questioning how we are going to move from point A to point B. What I can tell you with certainty is that the Ambazonian resistance is in motion, and the institutionalization of ideas and the processes of this resistance is gaining grounds. There are sovereignty projects that we are developing on the ground, whether it's questions of institutions under ADLA, liberation tax, which are designed not only to mobilize resources, but also to assert authority and to undermine the authority of the occupier. The idea of no color, no yellow color taxes in Amazonia, which is also designed around taking over the authority in determining what happens in our cities and in our blocks. So we have been undermining the ability of the enemy to exercise power in our land. And we have not only been doing that, we have been exercising power. It gradually shifts the allegiance of our people from a system constructed to make sure that they are totally dependent on it, to the fledgling institutions and processes that we are putting in place. Ambazonia will be recognized as an independent state. That is the only sure path to peace and security in the Gulf of Guinea. And that is the only sure path also for stability in Cameroon and the creation of wealth and opportunity in that particular region. We have no doubt about this outcome. Our worry also is the imminent collapse and disintegration of the state of Cameroon. One of the reasons why empires did collapse was the accumulation of unwarranted authority without consent. Most empires collapse because of that arrogance. And we have seen many countries devolving powers to different centers of authority and power. And that has not only been a desire to share power, it has been a lesson in history. The United Kingdom is an example. It was a vast empire that also had the United States under its authority, entire Canada, Australia, most Commonwealth countries. The United Kingdom is made up of Wales, Northern Ireland, Scotland, and England. And England has realized that maintaining the viability of the United Kingdom will require some level of understanding and self-government in the constituent nations that make up the United Kingdom. That is why the election of the current Prime Minister Starmer, the first place was to visit Scotland to have a conversation of equals, conversation born out of respect and recognition. For 61 years, the occupier has not only denied us our humanity, it has not even recognized our existence. We are talking about Ambazonia producing almost 60% of the GDP of the state of Cameroon and that of Ambazonia. We have not had the kind of respect that you would think a country as broke, as unstable as Cameroon will give to Ambazonia. it has not only denied us this respect, it has denigrated us, called us all sort of names in order to justify the level of violence that it has used on us. It's called us Biafrans. It's called us the 2 cubes of sugar. Don't forget, these are genocidal terminologies. They're terminologies of dehumanization. Cubes of sugar are dissolvable. So they think they can simply dissolve us. Little did they know that we we are resistant to being dissolved. But not only that, we've begun to dissolve the 8 cubes of sugar. They've called us les Anglo. They've called us all sort of names. This in preparation for the justification of the level of violence, burning of our homes, murdering of our grandmothers, murdering of our babies, and burning their corpses, and all sort of crimes that they've committed without accountability. So my people, Ambazonia will be recognized as an independent state, not only for the interests of Ambazonia, but as I have said, for the interests of peace and stability in the Gulf of Guinea and the creation of opportunities. For us to speed up this process, we must also do our homework. It is not enough to tell the world what you are against. What matters is what you are for. And that is why we have put in place the Amazonian Independence Manifesto. It's a forward-looking document that captures in clarity the crimes that Cameroon has committed against Amazonia, and also captures the vision that we have for our new country. And this vision is a reflection of the opportunities and the work that is being done to ensure that our system of education captures the moment and prepares the Amazonian from a very young age to be equipped with the skills and knowledge to be able to survive in the modern economy. And we think education will be key for the survival of Amazonia. We can't simply count on our natural resources. As we have seen in other countries, there are resources that we've never tapped into. And I've spoken about these opportunities many times. There are millions of homes in Amazonia without electricity. Yet, every year, I'm talking in the rainy season, the amount of rainfall that can generate electricity is enormous. The amount of sunlight that can be used to generate energy that will light up homes, power industries, and give our people a sense of dignity. These opportunities are there, but it requires a foundation of education and knowledge to be able to garner the skills that will be needed to transform these sources of energy into real energy that can be used in our household and in our industries. We have thousands and thousands of villages. In my tour of the states, I presented a vivid picture of the opportunities in various states. Each year, millions of our people die because of treatable diseases, waterborne diseases. They die because of dysentery, lack of clean drinking water. The Amazonian government in the future will be able to create reservoirs which can be treated to supply each household with clean drinking water. And this will reduce the level of infant mortality. And it will ensure that resources are not diverted from developmental projects into treating of sick persons. I have also said a sick populace is not a populace that can develop or empower our communities. 30% of our people are sick on a daily basis. It's either malaria, it's typhoid, it's dysentery, unknown diseases, 90% of which are preventable simply by keeping a clean environment, ensuring that people have good clean drinking water. So our manifesto is an embodiment of the dreams and aspirations of the Ambazonian people. Local industries that will become the engine of economic growth will be revived. It is unacceptable, as I spoke of last time, that a bag of rice in Thailand may cost 7,000 amber before it reaches the enemy port in Douala. That amount has multiplied by 2. Before it leaves the port, the middlemen that exist must have multiplied that amount by 3. Before it reaches our own country, that bag of rice must have been multiplied by 4. Think about it this way. In Menchum, in Ngokitungia, we have vast pieces of land that have been used historically for the production of high quality grain. The equipments were looted, the processing industries were closed. Thousands of people lost their jobs. Thousands of children never had the opportunity anymore to go to school. All the pieces of land became properties of middlemen supported by DOs, and these land, they were mostly taken away from the local farmers and sold to Cameroonians or some of these elites that are intermediaries between Cameroon and our country. This will come to an end because this has been one of the strategies used by Cameroon to dispossess Amazonians of our land. No economy survives without a credit system. It is through credit institutions that people are able to invest, to expand industries that are sources of employment and the creation of jobs and opportunities. Through credit institutions, students are able to even get loans. Small businesses are able to get loans. Farmers are able to get loans for pesticides, to expand their fields, to pay workers, to engage in advanced production for sales. The credit institutions were all dismantled. Our banks were looted. And the Cameroon credit banks have now taken over in Amazonia. And getting credit has been very difficult. They have been specialized in providing credit to Cameroonians, the elites, and other intermediary institutions that foster capital flight or the acquisition of Amazonian land. The only opportunities Amazonians have are credit unions with very low liquidity, high interest rates, and selective disbursement of credit. So how we have survived without a banking system that is strong enough to regulate our economy is a mystery. And I think we will alter our fate by ensuring that the Ambazonian Central Bank is going to be a reliable source to strengthen local banks as credit institutions, to ensure that different sectors of our economy have the liquidity they need to invest, to expand, create jobs, opportunities, and to develop new technology. The Ambazonian educational system believes is one that is going to focus on, it's a skill-based kind of curriculum. We all grew up in a society where there was virtually no way we could apply the knowledge that we acquired. And we became liabilities not only to ourselves and our communities, but liability to our own country. The jobs, the opportunities that existed had been designed in a way that many people escaped from being mechanical engineers. They escaped from being plumbers, carpenters, motor mechanics, simply because the enemy had designed these or had qualified these professions as dehumanizing. But what we are going to do is to make sure that we strengthen the skill base of Ambazonia so that people can be productive and people can immediately use the knowledge they have acquired to support their families and local communities. So the Ambazonian Independence Manifesto is an important piece of document that also spells out the kind of political structures that we will have. And I think that everybody should read it. It is going to return power to the states. It is going to ensure that if you are exploiting oil in a Diabato, you are going to pay your tax in that particular locality. You are going to process the crude in that particular locality. You are going to create subsidiary companies that can benefit from the byproducts of these produces that are harvested from these areas. And I think we must insist in an approach that consolidates Ambazonian wealth. Here in Norway, the Norwegian fund is, I think, the second biggest fund after that of Saudi Arabia, just born out of proper management of its resources. And I think if we institute an accountable system, we will manage the natural resources that we have. We are going to generate enough wealth to invest in other opportunities that can power our economy, bring foreign direct investment, make Ambazonians who are out here and sending billions in remittances to be able to return home and invest the money. Ambazonians out of the country have spent billions in failed investment in Ambazonia. All of these investments that they have been making have created job opportunities for a wide range of individuals and fields in Ambazonia. But they have all collapsed because of the absence of institutions that can support this industry. They've all collapsed because of corruption, whether they are family corruption, societal corruption, because people do not have the means of survival. Every little investment becomes a means of survival, and they collapse it within a few years. and Ambazonians out have gradually begun making investment instead in Cameroon. Take, for example, Ambazonians have been sending a lot of containers into Amba, moving these goods into Ambazonia, using family members, middlemen, and women. If you calculate the amount of money that Ambazonians invest in a single container, transporting it through La République du Cameroon, you compare that to Biafrans sending containers into Port Harcourt, you will see how we have been ripped off by Cameroon. These investments are looted before they even get anywhere. And it becomes very difficult for these small business initiatives to be sustained. And sometimes people have taken credit. People have been able to accumulate savings for many years, hoping to have a secondary source of income that can help them support their families. We are very clear. Though we will increase the quality of goods that Ambazonians may be able to send into Ambazonia, as not to make it a dumping ground, but I can assure everyone, for every Ambazonian shipping into the port of Victoria or Tico, it will be free. It will be free because we are definitely very sure it's good economics. The less money you scoop from little investors, the more investment they make, the more opportunities they create, the more jobs they create, and the more wealth they spread. And so our manifesto is very clear about all of these microeconomic strategies. Our continent is not the way it is because of the lack of ideas. It is the way it is because of the absence of bold leadership that is able to experiment on alternative approaches to economic development and political restructuring. We try to restructure our countries in the political image of the Western Hemisphere, negating the fact that the political structuring has a direct correlate or a causality in the way that we develop our economy. And I am of the firm opinion that we will structure our country to reflect the way we are going to design our economic processes and our economic strategies. We've learned a lot building our curriculum of education, from looking at Scandinavian curriculum of education. Finland declared a country of the most happiest people on earth. Norway has always been in the first 3 countries in terms of positive economic indicators. Denmark, Sweden have always been at the highest level of countries with stable economies. And we've looked at what are called the tigers of Asia. We've looked at how these countries have rapidly moved from colonial outfits at the same time we were colonies to become independent creators of wealth and opportunities and hubs of direct investment. And we've also looked at other areas. And all of these things have been captured in different designs that will be the future of our country. And so I ask you to have faith. So each morning when you get up, don't only think about the war. Be positive. What kind of country do you want? What kind of country are you fighting and dying for? What are your aspirations? How can that be reflected in the design processes in creating the kind of country that you want? And so every day we are working for you. We are making investment in time and treasure to ensure that that happens. Yet I understand we will not be there if we do not build the Ambazonian defense forces to make sure they are equipped to face the challenges that confront our nation on a daily basis. We will also respond to the enemy's strategy of ensuring that it projects its authority in our country. No way. You may not understand, but I say it time and again. The struggle for liberation is about also who has authority, who has power. And if you allow the enemy to legislate, execute, and adjudicate, and then it shows power, you must not only undermine it, you must also legislate, you must adjudicate, and you must execute. That is how you project power. And my people, for the past 7 years, we have been masters of this triad approach. We've legislated, we have adjudicated, and we've executed. And we have undermined Cameroon's ability to project itself as legitimate power in Ambazonia by denying it the right to organize elections. And we will continue to carry on these strategies. We will have setbacks. Setbacks are times of reflection to understand how the road ahead looks and what missteps we've made to arriving where we are. So have confidence in what we do. I'll reiterate certain things that I have spoken about in the past. The sale of Ambazonian land. I have informed Ambazonian forces in Meza that Anguafo is an existential threat to the Ambazonian project, and he must be decommissioned. He is an existential threat to the Ambazonian project. The father of the current fund for Anguafo III was the third vice of one of the most fascist political formations that have ever existed in the continent of Africa. The CPDM has been an instrument for murder, looting, systematic abuse, instability, and chaos, not only in the Gulf of Guinea, but in the continent. And we have outlawed the CPDM in Ambazonia. Anguafo III died being one of the strongest proponents of the occupation of our country, and his son has taken over, and his first assignment was to destroy the Tabu Kwifon. Tabu Kwifon headquarters was in the Njumankon area of Mankon. He infiltrated the Tabu Kwifon using his Nchindas, enablers in the diaspora, and then he made the Mankon Fon Palace the headquarters of the genocidaires. That is where they move to burn villages, burn homes, rape our girls. And he has continued with the scheme to lure quarterheads as proxies to his genocidal colonial policies. He has continued to be the rallying point for all renegade enabler chiefs and forms. A few days ago, I wrote greatly of Chief Lituli. I wrote about him because he also was a chief. I wrote about Kuva Likenyi, the Bakwiri Fon who fought valiantly against German colonialism. I wrote the other time about Asongani, who defied the odds in Lebialem. And we have seen the bravery of other chiefs and Fon, Chief Ayamba of late, and others. The Fon of Mankon is a threat to Ambazonian project. And I call on the Mankon people to reject him. And I warn all those who continue to be proxies to his strategies and his policies that our forces will move after you. We must be aware that the Amazonian land is the only treasure we have. As I've said before, the three factors of production, land, labor, and capital are critical for the survival of communities, because it is through these three factors of production that the institutions for the economy, education, and political structures are erected. And any people who sell their land and give their land away to their abusers will neither have the labor nor the capital. It has been very easy for our generation to sell our heritage and then carry our traditional regalia into exile and pretend every Saturday and Sunday that we are going to cultural meetings. We have become part and parcel of the greatest humiliation in modern times. A people who can give away their culture and their heritage without any resistance. And every day, we find them eating achu in foreign countries. We find them pretending to dance. We find them sitting in meetings. They don't know history about the background of the dresses they wear. And they know nothing about the extent to which that culture is nearly extinct. And so I call on everyone across Amazonia to stop the practice of selling Amazonian land to Cameroonians. Those who continue to do so will be arrested. Those who buy the land, and this is a strong message to Cameroonians, in the next few months, we will be putting out clarifying legislation on this also. We will take back the land and you will lose your money. And those who have sold the land will be held accountable also. Selling Amazonian land to Cameroonians is enabling the colonization of our country. It's ensuring that the last piece of treasure that we have as a people is given away. The same treasure that brave chiefs like the Kova, they fought to preserve. I know it is important, as I spoke to a certain community the other day, you market it, you don't go and hide in other people's land. It's not going to work that way. And when you hide in foreign countries, you deny the existence of your own. You deny that it's not necessary to fight for independence. And the country in which you are, you refuse to even read their history, how they sacrifice for their own independence. On Saturday, before I get to Saturday, this is how we are going forward. And we'll be developing statewide liberation plans. We have been working very hard in Boyo, in Fako, in Meme, in Bui, in Mezam, in Momo, and to a certain extent in Libialem. Our strategy is to build a composite liberation plan that factors in the liberation, stabilization, and development. This is going to help our forces understand, the journey that we are taking. We've realized that, just a moment, please. We have realized that forces are fighting in tunnels, and they do not understand how you move from point A to point B. And they do not understand the processes that they can institute to sustain the resistance. And we have been inserting those aspects in an escalatory manner. What we want to do now is to build a blueprint, one that captures with great clarity and detail both the liberation strategy for a particular state, the institutionalization of different processes and ideas that can back the defense establishment and can get the population become part and parcel of the decolonization process. This is central to ensuring that forces work together. And we will do that for all the 13 states. But as you have known about the strategy I've put in place, our independence depends on a couple of states, and we'll make sure that we get these strategies implemented. We have seen a lot of collaboration between our forces, and this is very encouraging, and we hope to display that in the next 3 months as we celebrate our Day of Independence. I know you've also been worried, and for good reason. We've lost a couple of soldiers, especially in Mezam, in the past weeks, and we don't go to sleep because we watch over these forces, we monitor, and these deaths are preventable. These deaths are preventable. I just observed a process today, and it showed clearly the vulnerability of La Republique. Our soldiers shouldn't die, because most of the fallen soldiers, if they didn't make certain mistakes, they wouldn't have fallen. And I also call on our population to stop enabling or spying on those who are fighting to defend their country. Cameroon would not survive in Amazonia without the support of Amazonians. And I think it's treacherous. Treachery is even a mild word to use. It's a betrayal of monumental proportion to work for a people, for a country that murders your own people. And some of you celebrate it. You take pride in it. 10 years from today, you will be ashamed of yourself. Your children will run away from social media. When they will look back at your activities, they will be ashamed of you, because you are working on the assumption that Cameroon is going to somehow, status quo ante is going to be restored. It's never going to happen. Never going to happen. We are more than 3,000 men armed. Cameroon has 5,000 something in Amazonia, not enough to hold one state. And our fortunes are only coming. We have been a people who've never been supported. And I can assure you, things will change. Our strategy on the ground is also to make sure there's proper resource management, because corruption is rife in the forces, and it has to stop. I've told the forces, corruption is more treacherous. You transfer resources that are meant for the acquisition of arms for the defense of our homeland, our civilian population, and barracks. You are committing more egregious crimes than Cameroon is committing. And so it will take time to develop these management schemes, this education information flow that will change the mentality of some of these forces. And these activities have been exacerbated by social media stunt and the spread of false information. I want to thank our forces in Mezam for their brilliance, their steadfastness, and despite the loss of their comrades, have remained resilient and brave. I am with you on a daily basis from Bafut through Bali down to Bamenda Central, to Chomba, Bambui Axis, Babanki, and everywhere else into Pinyin. You must stand together. You must develop strategies together and fight together. You shall not take comfort in the little pockets of areas that you think you've consolidated. For you to survive in Mezam, you must strategize together. You've imposed no yellow color taxi. I need to see enforcement of that by all of you. I think you've asserted your authority, and you need to show the population who is in charge. I also send great salutations to our forces in Bui. That is the land where La Republique goes to die. Thank you, Jakiri Brigade, for the brave actions. I want to also thank the other generals, Mad Dog, Vulture, General Viper, Wonyo, the Only Bro, and others for the bravery. And I ask you people to work together to look at the example of Myanmar and see how different forces have come together and they are closer to taking over the capital. If you set your differences aside, you will not only be more powerful, you will be more armed, you will be richer, and most importantly, you will stay alive. That is the benefit of working together. I've also seen positive news in Momo, and I encourage Momo fighters to work together, to stand together, and to shame the enemy. They thought the killing of our Supreme General will bring our resistance in Momo to its knees. We've put them in their place, and we can only grow stronger. Down, we are seeing movements in Fako. I encourage the forces there to accept the project that I am sponsoring there to supply all forces with the POPs they need to protect themselves and our community. And I'm giving this offer to all the other states. We've done that for Mezama and Momo, for Bui, for Fako. We're discussing with forces in Meme, and we'll do the same for Ngokitungi and other places. You don't have a choice than to bond together and defeat this weak enemy. Thank you all, my fellow people, and we will see you on Friday. Saturday is our fundraiser. I invite each and every one of you to join us to continue to commit for the resistance for different sovereignty projects. As I said, Ambazonia will be recognized as an independent state. Take that close to your heart. God bless you all.
Mr. Biya needs to know that we are ready and we will take it to the very end until our people are free. La République for no self. Mr. Biya for no self. We will take until the very ending until Amazonia be completely free.